So, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach ruined. We all know how Security Breach didn't exactly live up to our expectations. Even those with decent ones were still let down, especially story-wise. But a couple months later, they came in clutch with the DLC announcement. Ruin, as it was called. Just from the poster alone, it had a drastically different tone to what we were treated in the base game. And in addition, we had a new protagonist, a girl, and it seemed like we needed to go and rescue Gregory. After a tumultuous year of silence, they've come back and they seem to have cooked. Everything from that reveal trailer looked promising, and they even actually kept a solid release window, and surprisingly, they committed to it, which definitely signifies good changes management-wise. At least to me. If you remember, they kept delaying the base game beforehand, so this is such a nice change. They even stated themselves before the release. First, its tone is a stark contrast to that of Security Breach. Our goal was to lean into a more familiar feel FNAF fans have come to expect, and in that effort, we've created DLC that's far more dark, dreadful, and ominous than the base game. Additionally, given the dilapidated state of the Pizzaplex, it's claustrophobic and littered with the ambience that naturally and unnaturally comes from an abandoned building. There aren't a bunch of massive well-lit areas that you can see and avoid a threat in the distance. In addition to the tonal shift, we've moved away from the hide-and-seek gameplay of the base game. Ruin's moment-to-moment is built around patience and timing, and after thinking long on what we want to share before launch, I'm actually going to leave it at that. Our trailer only showed off a small fraction of the fun, and words won't do the rest justice. Very strong words coming from the developers. Needless to say, that left me optimistic, alongside the strong showing of the trailer. It seems like they knew what exactly they needed to address, and that they finally have a strong vision for what they wanted to make. Something that fit FNAF more. Which is what I think was a very weak aspect of the base game, that they were struggling to make something cohesive, something strong. So, did they cook? Or is this another failed misstep in FNAF history? Can they somehow manage to fix the story while they're at it? Well, I'll stop delaying and get into it. Ruin had to do major heavy lifting, backbreaking if you will, coming from the original Security Breach. And not just story-wise either, but right off the bat, it makes an amazing first impression. The environment is immediately hostile and mysterious, in a good way. The kind of vibe that you actually get from a abandoned building. This is actually where I received my first jump scare, and these were heart-clenching kind of jump scares too. It wasn't the, oh, Security Breach jump scares. It honestly felt as terrifying as me starting a classic FNAF game blind. That's how well I think they nailed them. Also, I just have to praise the environments. They are all so incredibly messed up, but rich and detailed. I really thought they nailed the aesthetics and environments last go around, so it's no surprise they delivered once again. And big time, I may add. Another thing I'd like to praise is the animatronic designs themselves. Chica looks so disgusting. She looks so greasy, vile, and just
Chica? What happened to you? You look awful.
Monty's just gone. Roxy looks like she's been beat up a bunch of times, like to the point where it just disfigured her face more than it ever did in Security Breach. And Freddy just completely devours you with his belly. That's insane.
Are you okay? Be functional.
I really like the designs that they went with in this game. It's so cool, and emphasizes the point that they've been abandoned for a long time. Something different though, and that you can immediately notice, is that this is a much slower linear experience, which is such a drastic difference from last time, where you were just kind of left up to do things after a certain point in the game. This is welcome for sure, but it's definitely something I needed to get used to. But thanks to the new linear progression, they have you really absorbing your environments and just taking things in, going slowly, which when done correctly can be used to build up tension and execute excellent jump scares. I kind of got used to it by the end, but that tends to happen with any horror game, to be fair. It's kind of really hard to keep jump scaring people like right through a couple hours of gameplay. Plus, I also did marathon this in a way. But that first impression, especially the daycare area where they have you squeezed in with endoskeleton that activate just randomly, that was actually terrifying. They have you trying to make progress and trying to squeeze through very tight spaces with endoskeletons walking around as well. It was awesome. This is the first time I was afraid to move around. They absolutely nailed making this a terrifying experience. I never felt safe, which is a stark contrast to how Security Breach was. I never felt in danger because even if I didn't have Freddy, I just knew I could outsmart the AI and just keep running. But here, I always felt vulnerable, barely surviving my predicaments, and in my opinion, that's how you should feel in a survival horror game, that you barely just make it out, just surviving with pure luck and skill. Which immediately goes into another point of mine. There are no upgrades, no hoodies, no stamina upgrades, no camera, nada. Just your flashlight, a new tool called a fast wrench, which can be used to connect the nodes and unlock parts of the environment to progress, and your new Vanni mask, which houses the new VANNI with the, the little period on the top, AI, which get it, it's Vanni, within, which is a healthy people. This one is kind of loaded, but I'll try my best to explain. So in addition to having a healthy AI, it also implants a chip into Cassie's brain, which also distorts reality. Now, once she puts on the mask, she can repair parts of the environment to proceed forward, and also pass through walls and objects. Which is how they sometimes explain you passing by unused corridors and such.
No way. I walked through a big screen and now I'm in Superstar Daycare? No way this is real. That screen was there before I looked at the camera. I swear.
And by the way, you also aren't safe in this mode either, because as soon as you start solving puzzles and stuff, this bunny glitchy thing just appears out of nowhere and is the main antagonist in this DLC. They will chase you down anywhere as long as you have the mask on after a certain period of time. Now, while he can't attack you physically, he will call an animatronic towards you and then kill you. Doesn't matter who it is. It can be Monty, it can be Chica, or an endoskeleton. They will end you. So they also did an excellent job to make sure people don't over rely on this, because while it does have its benefits, it has major downsides as well. Now, before I get to the cut corridors and stuff, I actually want to mention that I had an easier time navigating this go around because they communicated through the environment that where I needed to go. And thanks to it being a much linear experience, it made it easier for them to help navigate players by using background assets and etc. It was much better than base Security Breach. I only got lost one time, but that was because I was trying to figure out how the Vanni mask worked, but that was pretty much it. Every other time I knew exactly where to go. Oh, and did you not expect me to point out the cut content after making countless videos about it? Well. They actually brought back unused content, including the cut Freddy chase. Obviously, it's been modified to flow better with Ruin's story, but it's here. Aforementioned hallways and corridors, of course, are also here, but there's also some mini-games. As of now, I don't think anybody has found a bowling minigame yet, but Chica's Feeding Frenzy and the rest of the Monty Golf minigame holes are here. So that was amazing to see, even if it wasn't in its original form, just that it's being used, that brings a spring to my step. I'm very happy. Thank you. Speaking of adding, they have massively improved the UI of the game as well. This also applies to regular Security Breach because they did an update beforehand, but it took them a little bit. Everything is much more accessible and readable now. Things just overall have a more polished feel across the board, really. Even the music this time around. Sure, it was decent last time, and not knocking the daycare theme. But now, this is just on another level. It amplifies what you see with your own eyeballs and works together with the environment to create not just tension, but memorable set pieces. It's definitely not forgettable. Now the story. This is the one thing I've been putting off until now because I'm really mixed on it. It's not horrible or anything. Well, except maybe one thing, but we'll talk about it later. But it's definitely loaded. Not security breach loaded, quote unquote, which was just superficial and making up for cut things. This is actually a concrete story that has some substance, but also leaves the room open for interpretations as well as a continuation in the next game. I personally liked it until the end, but again, I'll push that a little bit later. I want to talk about the things I liked first. Straight up, this is an improvement on whatever happened in Security Breach. I wasn't left with the, wait, huh? That's it? It was more like, oh, okay, let's see where they go now. It left me satisfied and wanting more. This is all I wanted from Security Breach originally. I didn't want them to over-explain anything or just give me something to munch on. Like, you were building up this amazing story or just something with great potential in those trailers before Security Breach came out. They couldn't deliver. They didn't deliver. It just felt incomplete. It felt like something was taken from us. The game was strewn together with light objectives to help take you places, but I never felt like I was accomplishing anything. It just felt like I was going sightseeing. And don't get me wrong, curiosity is definitely part of these types of adventures. It also has to be backed up with satisfying progression. This definitely gave me the same vibes as I did when I finally cracked the secrets in FNAF 3 back in the day. That's how good I think this is. Like, I think the biggest thing that left an impact on me was getting to see some backstory with Cassie, and why when we have to activate Roxy later, that made me feel something.
Cassie. Welcome back, Cassie. Your special day. I remember. Your special day. Do you still like carrot cake? It has been some time since I saw you last. If I remember correctly, it is on the 11th. I remember because you are number 1, twice. Have you booked your party? I'm sure your friends will show up this time.
That's something they were trying to do in the base game, but never got to do. The Freddy chase that got scrapped would have played a major part in growing a stronger bond to Freddy. You know, losing that one security that we had, that one safe place, and we had to fight to get it back. So when we finally make it out, that would have hit harder. But just the fact that I felt something this time around, that's a stark difference. I feel much better coming off of this than whatever I did in Security Breach. Also, just the fact that I know more about Cassie in the DLC alone just says something about how disconnected we were from Gregory. Definitely prefer how they handled her better. But the time has come. See what's been going on here all this time. Oh boy, I can't wait to see what kind of...
You saved me.
Gregory?
I'm Gregory.
You're not Gregory. What are you?
I'm Gregory.
So, William, am I right? Look, I don't know. I don't like this thing. I'm just gonna pretend it doesn't exist, but it definitely made my excitement kind of deflate a lot. Literally let out an audible, oh, No. I do like the concept of the mimic, but I really just cannot get behind how it's supposed to fit into the timeline. I think that's my main problem. If the books are the guide that we're supposed to follow, hopefully not, but yeah. If they do something cool with this thing, like, awesome. Cool. I just don't like how awkward that makes everything though. I will give it credit for bringing back Handy Cadet and the scrap burn trap chase sequence. That was really cool to see. Even if it wasn't again in its original form, that was still just awesome to see repurposed. But yeah, this is where it got turned around for me. Especially later learning about the multiple endings. Yes, they did it again for some reason. Like at least there's not like 5 this time. One of them is clearly where the story is going. But I don't know. That just kind of left me a little bit, not salty, but just rubbed me the wrong way, I guess. Especially how they handled it last time. I did not want anything to do with any multiple endings. I just wanted one simple, straightforward ending. But I guess as cool unlockables or secrets to be found, yeah, sure. I guess. I am excited for what they do with Gregory and the gang now, because that ending felt like they were going somewhere. But I'm so mixed on the mimic now being in game canon. But I'm not gonna go any deeper than my feelings on it. Explaining it is gonna be these guys' jobs. Ruin has definitely made a remarkable improvement in so many areas, and proved that they can deliver scary experiences, and that Help Wanted wasn't just a fluke. I focused quite a bit on the story, but that was one of my biggest sore spots back when the game came out, and I made it to the endings. Ruin finally heals that somewhat. It's healed that part of me that got destroyed waiting for the story they were setting up. Ruin actually uses its concept and does something with it. And this is especially considering that with the base game, they were in a bit over their heads with feature creep and the team was too small for what they were trying to ultimately do. Just seeing that they were able to accomplish something so well executed was so great to see. But with this, it feels like they have their groove and did something they could realistically accomplish. Ruin was really good in my opinion. If you can, go ahead and give it a shot if you haven't already. It is free. The team worked really hard and you can tell and you can feel the effort and polish. But yeah, with that, hope you have a fantastic day and take care. Thank you for watching. Leave a like on the video if you like this. It helps a lot, and yeah, adios.